Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to start the Tamiya MF-01X Ford Escort Mk.II Rally Kit series. And if we take a look at the manual, we're going to be working on the gearbox, starting with the differential. So let's get started. So first thing, as always, we need to find all the parts we need first. Okay, instead of using the Tamiya grease that comes with a kit, I'm just going to go ahead and use my Tamiya Cera-Grease. I really like this tube. It's a little bit messy. I like the applicator better. If this is the first time you're building a differential, don't be scared, don't be intimidated. It's actually very simple. Once we break all the pieces down and look at them individually, it's actually not that complicated. Okay, now that we have all the parts out, let's get started. I'm going to start by dropping the 9mm washer into the Diff Gear, like that. Then we're going to put the large bevel gear. Usually they ask you to put a little bit of grease behind here, so I'll do that. So it should sit flush like this. Make sure it goes all the way down. Next, we're going to take the star shaft, which is this right here, and put all three of the small bevel gears in. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to grease them all up. Put that in here. Okay, and then I'm going to first drop it in there, then I'll put some more grease on. First, let me put some grease on this side of that big bevel gear. Then I'll drop this in. And the star shaft is going to go into these three slots right there. And we just have to line them up carefully. Don't worry if you mess up, we can always do it again. Just like that. Then I'm going to use this to spin the gear and apply grease. Okay. As you can see, it should look like that if you did it properly. And all we're going to do is repeat for the top side. So first goes in the gear. Then I'm going to grease it up on the back side of this gear. Then I'm going to put the washer in there. Now I'm going to get this out. Again, there's 3 holes here. Make sure you line with those 3 screw holes, and these 3 stems are going to go into the slot right there. So it should fall in like that. I'm going to press it down, and it indexes on the screw hole here onto the gear, so you can see that tiny notch. Okay, now we're going to put on these 3 screws. I'm going to use the smallest driver in the Tamiya Craft tool set. Okay, when you're done, it should look like that. All right, for the next part, we're going to need the gearbox housing, which is this right here. And it's going to be this piece that we're going to be working with. So you can see the kit comes with these plastic bushings that look like that. And I'm going to replace them with these ball bearings instead. And I'll leave a link to those in the description as well. We're going to need this rod right here. And we're also going to need some BA6 screws. And I think they're these really common screws. And we're also going to need A7 right here, which is going to be the motor mount. And we're going to need to cut a square of this sponge tape right here. Let's get started. I'm going to put this here. Go ahead, spin this around. The screw hole is going to be here, here, and here. And it's going to land this way. Here, here, and here. Okay, we need to put the foam tape right here. And it should look like that. Don't forget, we need to set this bearing right here into that right there. And now we're going to take the spur gear and put the bearing on the front and in the back. Going to get that ready. I'm going to put this rod through, and then also the diff gear that we just built. So let me put a little bit of grease onto this shaft right here first. Right. And then grease here. Grease there. Going to set this gear here. And then this gear here on top. So the bottom of that gear will touch the diff gear, and this will be the spur gear. Before we move on, I'm going to grease this all up. Okay. We're ready to go. All right, and we're going to need the other side of the gearbox, another piece of square sponge tape, and also 3 bearings. If you don't have the bearings, you're going to be using 2 plastic ones and 1 of the metal ones. All we're going to do is slip the bearings onto either side of this, and this into this right here. And we cut another of the sponge tape there. We're also going to need 3 more of those BA6 screws. So those 3. Now we're going to assemble both sides together. Also going to need this rod right here. Going to grease that up. and push that through. And we're going to be setting it into that hole right there. Like that. And now that is going to go into this hole. This is going to go into this hole. So we're going to turn this around. Make sure it lines up. And close it. Just like that. Looks good. And I need to put one screw, 1, 2, 3 screws. Okay. We're done. I go back and put some grease right here onto that gear. Now we need to put on a couple rectangular pieces here and here. For the final step of today's video, we're going to need this piece right here, B7, which is going to be the damper stay. And we're going to put on 2 ball studs and 2 screws. Again, we're going to be using those BA6 screws. So there's one, there's another one, and I'm going to need 2 of those. And it says to put these on first, so that's what I'll do. I'm going to use the hex wrench from the toolkit. If you don't have this, you would use this end right here. Does the same thing. Screwdriver again. Just like that. So we're done with step 7, and we've completed one part of the gearbox. And it should look like that. And it looks like in the next video, we're going to be working on the electronics. We're going to hook up the servo with the steering links, so that's something to look forward to. So thanks for watching this video. If you got anything out of it, please drop a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.